Hello and good morning. This is the Breville Oracle that I'm selling. This is the model BES980BTR. It's in the black truffle color, which is beautiful. As you saw in the photos, this unit is very clean. Just turned it on, and as it's heating up, I'll just tell you a little bit about the machine. So it's a refurbished unit. Meaning it's been used for a few years. I've purchased it used, done a full service on the machine. So that's about 10 or 12 O-ring seals on the boilers, changed the silicone seals that need to be changed. I've changed those, all of them, so the ones on the top, the ones on the side, the seals on the solenoid. It's also had the 3 steam boiler sensors changed, refurbished with new seals as well. But those are the ones that usually go bad after a couple of years. Changed the steam wand, so this is a brand new wand. And yeah, we've done a full cleaning on the machine, in and out. Works like new. In terms of the cosmetic condition, it's in very good condition as well. It's got some scratches on the left hand side here. The drip tray is actually brand new. We've changed that, so no scratches on the tray. Some small scratches on the back panel here, some scratches on the front panel, so one here, one here, one here. You can actually just cover those with black marker or some matte paint if you want. So it's nothing too bad really. And some scratches over here, nothing too bad. So for its age, it's in very good condition, I would say. What matters the most is that it works like new. In this video, I'll be making my morning latte to demonstrate that. So I'll be testing the grinder, the tamper, the brewing, the hot water tap, and the automatic steam wand. So typically this model will take about 5 minutes to reach full temperature when you turn it on for the first time in the morning. I've just turned it on, it took like 4.5. And that means when it's ready to go, you'll see the screen say 93. You'll see the buttons light up fully. That tells you that the boilers are up to temperature, but that doesn't mean that everything else is up to temperature. So your group handle at this time when it reaches full temperature is still not too hot. Your cup probably is still room temperature. And if you want to warm those up, you've got 2 options. You can just leave the machine on for about 10 or 15 minutes. You can leave your cups on top like this, and they'll actually get warm. So the grip handle is actively heated, not only from the boiler that sits on top of it inside, but also this piece of metal has a coil going through it. So this piece of metal gets really hot. It's a heated group head. So in 10 or 15 minutes, it'll be very, very hot, up to like 85, 90 degrees. And your cup will also get warm if you leave it up here. This piece of this lid is metal, and it sits just on top of the boilers, so it gets really quite warm as well. That's one option. If you're in a hurry like myself, I'm always in a hurry, don't want to wait for too long, I can run a blank shot. So what a blank shot is you need to have the handle empty, you put your cup underneath, you run some water, and that's going to warm up the handle very quickly. It's also going to warm up your cup very effectively as well. Just press the single or the double button. "20, 25 seconds should be more than enough. The single button goes for 25 seconds, and the double goes for 30 seconds. You can actually change the lengths of the buttons in the settings. You can also tell the machine to go by water volume instead of time, but the standard setting is time, and I'll leave it there. In case you want to tinker, I'll leave it up to you. It's obviously a dual boiler machine, so you always have access to steam and water at the same time. And it's also a fully automatic machine, meaning that it's as hands-free as it gets in the espresso machine world, with a portafilter. The next step would be a fully automatic, which is a 1-button press, and those ones don't taste the same and need a lot of cleaning and maintenance. Cool. I I'm going to start grinding now. Make sure your basket is dry before you grind the coffee. Make sure your hopper has a little bit of coffee in it, which mine doesn't. Let me just add some beans. I'm going to be using the Aldi medium dark beans. I've been finding Aldi for the past 4 years of me selling and fixing coffee machines. I've found that Aldi coffee beans are usually fresher than most supermarket beans. In fact, it's the freshest supermarket bean I've come across. They roast them in Melbourne, and they don't sit on the shelves for too long. So you're almost always going to get a good cup of coffee with Aldi beans. Not a sponsor. Alright. A handful of beans, just enough for a coffee or two. The machine is set on grind size 20. So being a fully automatic machine, it'll handle things like the grinding time and the tamping of the coffee, or the pressing and distribution of the coffee into the handle. But what you need to set yourself is the grind size. And the grind size is basically how far the grinder blades are from one another, and it'll dictate how light the coffee particles are, and that will dictate how fast your coffee shot will pour into the cup. So a large grind size, so the grind size goes from 1 to 45, 45 being the largest particle size, and if you do that on this machine, if you go all the way to 45, your shots will be way too quick. The particles of the coffee grounds are going to be very large, lots of space between them, lots of space for water to go through quickly. So you will get a quick shot of coffee. It'll be more watery, it'll be less strong, and in the end, because the machine will dose by time when you press a coffee, if you press the 30-second shot, which is a double shot, and you use a really large grind size like 45, you'll get a lot of coffee in the cup. So like almost a cup full or half a cup full, which is not what an espresso shot should be. An espresso shot should be about 40 grams brewed in 30 seconds. That's one extreme if it's too large. If it's too small, if your grind size is too small or very fine, your coffee will pour very slowly, if at all. So if I go all the way to grind size number 1, it'll be very slow, almost nothing will come out. And if anything comes out, it'll be very bitter, very burnt tasting. We don't want that. In fact, I made a coffee last night, at grind size 20, and it was the Latte, so it was actually slow, very slowly coming out into the cup. So I will actually increase it to 22, maybe 24. Let's do 24. I like even numbers. 20 was quite slow. I don't want to repeat that. So let's try 24 and see if that does the trick for us. And it typically, it auto doses very well. It typically doses between 20 to 22 grams. I'm just going to measure with my scale here the inputs and outputs just to confirm in case you're curious. But also, I think a scale will help you make better coffee, because it'll tell you how much you need to change the grind size by. So say I will, like I said, an espresso shot is 40 grams in 30 seconds. Give or take a few numbers here and there, that's totally fine to be above 40 by 2 or 3 grams. If I make a cup now, and I measure the shot at over 50 grams for the double shot, that's too much coffee. It probably won't taste great if you drink it on its own. On the other hand, if I measure it at less than 35 or less than 40, I also think it needs to be improved. So anything between 40 to 45 is perfect for this machine. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of this ground coffee because I just changed the grind size. And some of this coffee is old coffee from yesterday's shot at the old grind size. So I want to start fresh with the new grind size. So that's what I'm going to do now. go. Perfect. So, as you see, perfectly polished, perfectly dosed. If I were to guess, it's 22. That's 21.5. So very, very accurate, this machine. Very consistent. Sometimes you get loose coffee. You can just ignore that, or if it bothers you, you can just flip it upside down into a bin and it'll get rid of those. But yeah, this is what it does. Sometimes there's a few loose coffee around the edge, so just wipe those before you lock it into the handle. And this is what Breville gives us for other machines. It's a dosing, what is it called? It's a calibration tool of sorts, and it tells us if we've got too much or too little coffee. And if you see, it's the perfect amount. It's just below this depth, so it's not gonna interfere with inserting the handle. So this is the correct depth of coffee, automatically done by the machine. Right, I'm gonna lock it in, and then I'm gonna start brewing the double shot. Oh, one more thing. You've got a hot water tap here if you want to access hot water. So if you want to make a long black coffee, you can just press the hot water button. It gives you clean hot water straight from the boiler, bypassing the group head. It's good, like I said, for Americanos. You can do tea bags with it. In my case, I like to add a little bit of sugar, and this hot water that I add as well, it helps the sugar dissolve. Just a little bit. If you like to add sugar, sweetener, flavors, I recommend you add them now before the espresso is brewed. That way you can have a more even cup of coffee with the flavors distributed evenly. Otherwise, if you don't do this step and you add the sugar later, the bottom of your cup will be sweet, which is something I really hate. Really hate. Cool. Gonna mix it up, reset my scale. So now we measured the input at about 22. The output should be double of that at 44. That's the espresso recipe, 2:1 ratio. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. Notice that we're running low on water. The machine is actually intelligent. If you've got 0 water in the tank, it'll tell you. It'll turn off the buttons, as you see. It'll turn off the buttons, so you can't make any coffee, and it will say on the screen, fill tank. And then when you fill it back up, so we've got a little bit of water, that's why it hasn't triggered the sensor yet. I'll add a little bit more just so we don't run out of water halfway through the shot. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so we're talking about the espresso ratio, so 2:1. So every gram you grind, you want 2 grams into your cup in 30 seconds. We are going to be aiming for 40 to 50. That's the perfect amount for this machine. If it's much more than that, we'll change the grind size a couple numbers finer to slow it down. If it's much less than that, we'll increase the grind size to speed it up. In other words, you can think of the grind size as if it's the speed of the coffee, or it's like the amount of the coffee. Large grind size gives you more amount, small grind size gives you smaller amount, or a slower speed. Cool, enough talking, let's make the coffee. Started pouring at the 10-second mark if I'm not mistaken. It's coming out of the spouts nice and even. It is on the slower side, so maybe I will have to, if I were to improve this, I'll get a grind size 26 instead. That would be my suggestion. I'm just pouring some milk into my jug, sorry about that. Let's, I might run that again. So I think that's only about 25 grams. 20 grams. Yeah, I might run that again at grind size. So we did 20, 24, let's go to 20, 26. I think 26 should be good for us. Great. We'll try that again. remember our trick. We need to purge because we changed the grind size. So about 5 seconds of grinding and then get rid of that. There we go. I think, did we run out of beans? We may have run out of beans. Let me add a little bit more. It temped well, but I think it needs to grind a little bit more. Okay. If it says it's done, it's done. Let's have a look. Alright. Just like before, nicely tamped. The amount, similar, just below the level. I didn't measure it, but I would guess it's about 20 to 21 again. Let's lock it in. What am I going to do with this? I'm probably going to give it to my wife to make her iced coffee. So, second time's the charm. Let's reset the scale and brew this shot again. Hopefully it should be better this time. That's better. Started pouring around the 9-second mark. It's still on the slower side, so I think ideally we'd use 28 or grind size 30. Okay, one more time. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to change the grind size to 30 and then we'll try again. Okay, just finished tamping at grind size 32. Same, 21 grams. So I jumped from 24 to 26 to 32. Now, I would bet that this shot will be runnier and more quicker and closer to what we want than before. It was quite slow at 24 and 26. Let's run it. There we go, started pouring out the 7-second mark. Looking much better. Coming out evenly out of both spouts. This is probably the shot that we're going to be drinking. Yeah, took us a couple of tries to get it perfect, but there we go. Now it's doing much better. It's going to be closer to 45, 50 grams now, I would bet. Lots of crema. Stopped at the 30-second mark, which is what the machine should be doing. That's 45 grams. Let me show you what that looks like. Sorry in advance about the mess, but that is 45 gram shot. This is what it looks like in case you want to judge by eye. You don't have to have a scale for this sort of machine. It's automatic. So you can go by eye or you can just go by taste. Whatever tastes good, stick to it. So if a certain grind size tastes the best for your mouth, keep it there. You don't have to follow the numbers like it's a science experiment. But yeah, grind size 32 did the trick. Now when you use the machine, I'm not going to say that this is going to be the perfect setting for your beans with this machine, but it's at least close enough. So go home, try grind size 32 with the double shot and the double basket, and you should get a close enough shot. You may have to adjust it up or down as we spoke. If you get too much coffee, turn the dial down by a couple numbers. If you get too little coffee, turn the dial back a couple numbers. Cool, that's the espresso shot done. I might add a little bit of hazelnut syrup instead of sugar this time, since we're adding sweetener after the fact. But very tasty on its own, very bold. There we go. So now this is called an espresso shot. You can drink it on its own as an espresso drink. You can add hot water to make it into a long black Americano. Or in my case, I'm going to be converting this into a latte. I've got my jug here filled with cold full cream milk, about halfway. Or you can just look at this spout curve. That's where I've aimed for. The steam wand is automatic, so you can use it automatically, hands-free. Or you can use it manually. To use it manually, just pull it up. Pull the lever up as well. That's going to give you steam through the tube like a barista would do in a cafe. You can just practice your latte art that way and practice your latte frothing skills. Or if you're lazy like me, you can use this in automatic setting, which is you can select the temperature and the froth level. So 65 degrees, 60 to 65 is the optimal temperature for most milk. I'm going to put it on 62. And the froth level, we can go from latte to, which is very on the bottom, very thin foam, or you can go to cappuccino on the very top of the graph, which is the most amount of foam. I will put it on about 3/4 of the way. So it goes from 1 to 9. I'm going to put it on number 7. So set number 7 on the foam level. Press it down, and it will do its thing. In the meantime, you can take this opportunity to clean the machine, which is what I'm going to do. Give it a flush. Highly recommend you flush the machine right here. So press the button. It'll clean your shower screen and your portafilter at the same time. So rather than you having to go to the sink to rinse this, I would just use this hot water to rinse. It's like 2 birds, 1 stone situation. Also, if you've got a piece of tissue or a towel, just give the group head a wipe. Be careful not to burn yourself. But as you see, there's almost always a few granules of coffee remaining in there, and you don't want those to build up over time. So just be nice to your machine and clean it as much as you can. It'll thank you later. Milk is done. I'm going to grab a wet towel to clean it off. Very important to have a wet towel and not a piece of tissue. Tissues will disintegrate. And you want the towel to be wet to help the milk dissolve. So as you see, quite a lot of foam. Just wipe it off straight away. And the sooner you clean the wand, the better. It obviously gets really hot with steam contacting it for about a minute. So the milk will practically bake on top, on like a layer of milk if you don't wipe it off straight away. And it's going to be harder to clean tomorrow instead of today. So just do it now. And when you push it down, it will automatically pulse 5 times to clean the holes. I like to add a piece of tissue to catch those pulses of steam and milk. Otherwise, if I don't put this piece of tissue, the milk will, it might spray onto the tray. We don't want to cause it to be milky. there we go. That's almost we're almost done. We've got the espresso shot. Better to mix it up before you pour the milk. Then we've got the milk itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock it on the counter to break any big air bubbles on top. And then swirl it around to mix. Do this a few times until the surface is nice and smooth. There we go. If you're skilled, you can occasionally get some latte art on the automatic setting. I'm not very skilled, so I rarely get milk. Sorry, I rarely get latte art that's decent. I think I got a heart design today. Not sure what this is. I'll put it here. I'll show you what I did. Very, very nice cup of coffee. Looks like it's about 1 centimeter or 2 of foam. Looks delicious. Yeah, I'm sure you can do the same, if not better, very soon. That's with the automatic setting. And then if you use the manual setting, you can get even better milk, I think, like a barista would be able to in a cafe. That's the Breville Oracle. That's a latte. Very easy to do. Well, very easy once you set it up. So now that we have the correct settings on the grind, it's relatively easy to do from now on. Just like the first day or two, there's going to be a bit of learning with what grind size to use and what milk and how much milk to put on. But otherwise, it'll be very easy and breezy once you get into the groove. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers.